was digging out my small hatchets and axes to get ready to use them. It came up in conversation about having to spend a bunch of money for good axes and for reliable cutlery and tools to do woodwork with. This is the hatchet that I used in Boy Scouts. Before I went to this service, there was a kid in town that he was having a hard time participating in Boy Scouts because his family didn't have the funds to buy a lot of the equipment. So I was leaving for the service, so I let him use certain pieces. This was one of them. When I gave this to him, this was new, basically new Boy Scout issue. I happened to be up in his garage 20-some years later and mentioned that it looked familiar, and he says, well, it ought to look familiar because you gave that to me. But he had a totally different idea as far as taking care of hand tools than I did. I finally got the handle tightened back up. When this becomes unserviceable, I'll replace the wood. I got the wood rehabbed. This looked like it had sat in a ghost town out west for ages. I got it oiled down, got the wood rehydrated, wrapped the handle, got the rust taken off the head, and I ended up having to sand the entire head down. He had used this like a sledgehammer, and it had beat this pole until it was mushroomed all the way around. So I got it straightened out and then sanded down. Then I just slapped some paint on it just to seal it up. So this is basically a 30-year-old. This is what I would consider a free hatchet. This one here is a hardware store find. This is a shingler's hammer. And it's got about 1 3/4 pounds head. And it's got a full heat-treated, hardened hammer pole and a 3.5-inch hatchet edge. This cost me $10. $10. This next one up is a Condor. It's called a woodworker's axe. And if you'll notice, the cutting edge is as close to identical as you're going to find. Let's see if I can get the glare off of it. And this is it's about 1 pound, well actually 1.5 to 1 3/4 pounds. It's got a pull section in the back. This is not heat treated hammer pull, but it's got a 3.5-inch edge, and it's got about, this handle here for this is 22 inches, so it's got roughly an 18-inch handle on it. This one here, and this cost $10. This cost about $35. Maybe it could have been closer to 40. I put a I got a custom-made sheath for it. The sheath that shipped with that is right here, and I'm using this sheath for my shingler's hammer. This is the sheath here, shipped with the Husqvarna axe, and right now I'm using this sheath for this rifleman's tomahawk. This is made by Cold Steel. This is about a 2-pound head, and it's I gave an initial review of this on another video, but it wasn't a direct comparison to these other ones. From the end of this handle to the far end is 22 inches. What I need to do, my next project, is to take these three out. These three lower ones are, except for handle length, they're all directly compared to each other. I've got all three of these sharpened up to the point where they're functionally the same as far as edges go. So they all should be good choppers. This next one is as far as price points goes, this was less than $30. But it does have a hardened, heat-treated, hammered pole on the end of it. So, for that sense, it compares directly to the shingler's hammer. This next one is a boy's axe. It's a store brand boy's axe. It's roughly a 2-pound, 2.25-pound head, and it's got about a I'd say about a 24-inch handle, from measured from the base of the head, and in that sense, it compares directly to this Husqvarna axe. So both of those have, both of these are about 2.25 to 2.5 pounds. They both have a 24-inch American hickory handle on them. Husqvarna has got a lanyard hole. This one doesn't. But as far as cutting edges go, they're as nearly identical as possible. And I paid about $50 for this Husqvarna axe, and it's a really good axe. But I paid $12 for this boy's axe. And I've had these out doing light limbing work and felling small trees. And as far as performance goes, these two, they're equal. There's a little bit more tool steel in the knife edge up here, but as far as weight goes, they're the same. And there's no reason why you couldn't spend $10 on a small boy's axe and get years or a decade's worth of work out of this. So as far as price points go, it's really not a requirement to spend big dollars. I did put the sheath that shipped with this one was very small and just barely covered the edge. So I replaced it with a full shroud sheath. These sheaths are really inexpensive, so I bought one for all of these axes. I've even got them for my larger axes, and they're a good deal. They just won't. It just won't fit for this tomahawk. So the one that I have right now, I just put a leather thong on the end to so I can tie this on. This condor sheath fits on this hatchet hammer. And for comparison wise, this is the Boy Scout hatchet, and except for being about a half a pound lighter and slightly smaller, this is an identical head. So you could even get a hatchet and rehandle it with a 24-inch handle, and you could have an effective limbing axe and a small backpack axe that isn't going to kill you with weight. But I'm starting to ramble now. I wanted to talk about axes.